This is the story of Maya. She was 34 years old, a mother, a wife, and a woman who believed in the life she had built. Her husband was named Daniel. He was 50. They had two daughters, Sophia, who was 14 and wise beyond her years, and little Isla, who had just turned 2. Their life was not perfect, but it was theirs. It was simple and warm. Or so Maya thought. It began on a Tuesday evening. Daniel was in the shower and his phone buzzed on the nightstand. Maya did not usually look at his phone. Trust was the foundation of their marriage, or so she believed. But something made her glance at the screen that night. A message. From a name she did not recognize. The words were simple, but they hit her like ice water. Miss you already. Can't wait for Wednesday. Her hands trembled as she put the phone back. She told herself it was nothing. A friend. A coworker. But the words repeated in her mind all night. Wednesday. Miss you. For 3 days, she watched. She said nothing. She waited for him to say something, to explain the message away. He did not. On Friday, after the girls were asleep, she asked him quietly, "Who is Sarah?" The silence that followed was louder than any scream. Daniel's face went through a series of changes: confusion, then defensiveness, then anger. "You went through my phone?" he accused. "You're checking up on me now?" Maya stood firm. "Who is she?" He denied everything. She was just a friend. Maya was being paranoid. But Maya had learned, from the first time, that words meant nothing. She waited until he fell asleep, then took his phone. She scrolled through the call log. The same number appeared again and again, late at night, times when he was supposed to be working late. She wrote down the number. The next morning, while Daniel was out, she called it. A woman's voice answered. Cheerful. Unbothered. When Maya identified herself, the voice on the other end did not gasp or apologize. She just laughed softly. "Oh, you found out." She was married too, she explained. Her husband probably would not care. It was just fun. No big deal. Maya hung up feeling like the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. That night, she confronted him again. This time, she had proof. And this time, Daniel did not bother denying it. He shrugged. He told her it was not the first time. And that was when the deeper wound opened. Maya remembered the early years. When Sophia was a newborn and Maya was exhausted, overwhelmed, learning to be a mother, she had suspected something then too. Late nights at work. A distance in his eyes. She had confronted him, and he had denied it. She had chosen to believe him because she needed to. Because she had a baby and no strength left to fight. Now she knew. He had been unfaithful even then, in the most vulnerable season of her life. And now, with another baby, he was doing it again. She begged him to stop. She cried. Sophia, hearing her mother's sobs, came to the door. She looked at her father with eyes that held no childhood innocence, only a deep, disappointed knowing. "Dad, please," she whispered. "Please stay. Please just be with us." Daniel's face hardened. He looked at his daughter, at his crying wife, and he did not soften. "I can do what I want," he said coldly. "If I want another girlfriend, I will have one. You cannot stop me." The words hung in the air like poison. Sophia turned and walked back to her room, her shoulders shaking. Maya stood in the kitchen, holding Isla, and felt something inside her begin to crack. The weeks that followed were a slow unraveling. Daniel stopped coming home at night. He said he was working, but Maya knew the truth. The money started disappearing too. Cash withdrawals, restaurant charges, hotel stays, all on the credit card they shared. Maya watched their savings drain away while she sat at home with the baby, unable to work, unable to stop it. She started skipping meals to stretch the groceries. She stopped buying things for herself. The stress sat in her chest like a weight, and soon her body began to fail. She got sick, a fever that would not break, a cough that lingered for weeks. She could barely get out of bed, but she had to. Isla needed her. Sophia needed her. And Sophia was struggling too. Her grades dropped. She stopped talking to her friends. She spent hours in her room, listening to sad music, staring at the wall. Maya saw her daughter fading and felt the guilt crush her. She had brought this man into their lives. She had given him children. And now her children were paying the price. She thought about leaving. Every night, she imagined packing a bag and walking out the door. But where would she go? She had no income, no savings of her own. Her family lived far away. She was trapped by money, by love, by hope. Because despite everything, she still loved him. She still remembered the man who had held her hand at their wedding, who had cried when Sophia was born, who had promised to always be there. She kept waiting for that man to come back. One night, he did come back. But not the man she hoped for. He stood in the doorway, his bag packed, his face expressionless. "I don't love you anymore," he said. "I'm leaving." No anger. No shouting. Just a flat statement, delivered like a weather report. Maya stood there, holding Isla, and felt the last thread of hope snap. She did not cry. She just nodded. He walked out, and the door closed behind him. The days after were the darkest of her life. She would lie in bed after Isla fell asleep and stare at the ceiling, wondering how to go on. Sophia would bring her tea sometimes, sitting on the edge of the bed, not speaking, just being there. It was Sophia who kept her going. And Isla, with her tiny hands and her toothless smile, who reminded her that joy still existed in the world. One afternoon, Maya was pushing Isla in her stroller through the park. The sun was warm, the sky was blue, and for a moment, she felt almost peaceful. Then she saw them. Daniel and the other woman, sitting on a bench, laughing. He was holding her hand. He looked happy, carefree, as if the family he had left behind did not exist. Maya stopped walking. She watched them for a long moment. And in that moment, something shifted inside her. The grief did not disappear. The pain did not vanish. But a new feeling rose up beneath it, a quiet, stubborn determination. He had moved on. He was happy. And she was still here, frozen in her pain, waiting for a love that would never return. No more, she thought. No more. That night, after the girls were asleep, Maya sat alone at the kitchen table. She looked down at her wedding ring, the gold band she had worn for 15 years. Slowly, she pulled it off. It left a pale mark on her finger. She held it in her palm, feeling its weight, remembering the day Daniel had slid it onto her finger. Then she closed her hand around it, stood up, and dropped it into a small wooden box. She was not okay. She knew that. The road ahead would be long and hard. There would be nights of tears, days of exhaustion, moments when she wanted to give up. But for the first time in months, she was not looking back. She was looking forward. For Sophia, who needed to see her mother fight. For Isla, who deserved a happy childhood. For herself, the woman she had been before Daniel, the woman she could become again. Maya did not know what the future held. But she knew one thing with certainty: she would survive this. And one day, she would be happy again. Not because someone else made her happy. Because she chose to be.